The grand city of Rome has fallen, however the Italians will not give up the mainland without a fight. Hey, how's it going, guys? My name is Jackie Fish and welcome back to another Divide et Impera online battle taken from the head-to-head between me and Republic of Play. So we do these online battles and these campaigns every single Wednesday at 3 PM on the channel. So if you want to go ahead and watch these live and watch how the campaign is unfolding, then you can do so by obviously just tuning in. We are playing Carthage versus Lucids, and in the head-to-head, whenever one of us plays against the AI, the other person can jump in and try and slow them up, which makes this really interesting. And right now I am fighting for the survival of Rome. Rome are busy in Greece right now, which is giving Darren perfect timing to come in and try and take as much Italian land before the Romans kind of deal with the Scurodisi and come flying back in and really give him a run for his money. So every casualty I do in this battle is so important. Obviously, if I can outweight the timer, that is also just as important. But my game plan isn't technically to win, it's just to do as much damage as possible so that Darren has to use less superior troops in the campaign itself, because he won't be able to recruit his Carthaginians due to the population mechanic in Divide et Impera, which should hopefully make things very, very exciting. And yeah, so, you know, even if we lose this battle, it's not necessarily the end of the world. It's all about just slowing him down, doing as much damage as possible to his army so that it makes things a lot more difficult. I've also played a hand, I played a bit of this battle already, just so that you guys don't know if we're going to hit the 40-minute timer and I win. As me and Darren in these online battles, in these campaign head-to-head battles, we play with a 40-minute timer so that the timer can run out, meaning the attacker has to be a little bit quicker and can't take his time. I think it makes the kind of battles a lot more interesting and tense. So I played a bunch off camera so that you guys wouldn't know if we do end up hitting that 40-minute timer and I end up holding the settlement. This is also Beneventium, so this is the city just below Rome itself. He's taken Rome and Irinium, I think, in the north, and he's pushed down, and this is currently a garrison defending the town that I have access to, and it's an okay garrison. Rome has much stronger garrisons. I don't have any of the really good Roman swords. I just have the town guard that are pretty trash. And then these Italian swords are okay. It's the next tier up from these Italian swords, which are really, really strong in the garrison. I also have 3 units of Italian slingers, which are okay, nothing special. And then my reinforcement army. There is 1 legion ready to reinforce this position, which is pretty nice for me. And I'll stick on slow-mo whilst I quickly run over this. So the legion that is supporting, we do have a handful of extra slingers, I think 2 or 3, which are going to be coming in and helping supporting me. I have 2 units of javelins. I then have kind of the main bulk of the Roman army is going to be mainly, where are they? They're these guys right here. This is like a heavy sword infantry that is really good in the early game. You can see their stats right there. However, we are starting to enter. I think this battle was on around about turn 70. So these guys start to fall off by that point. You know, the other, Darren can just recruit a lot better units. So these guys are still really good, but they're not like as good as they were. And you may think that these guys are a lot stronger than maybe they once were in the beginning of the game. So I mainly have like 6 units of these guys. I have a couple units of Principes and I think 1 Triarii. Unfortunately, we are using the spear variant though, as the Roman AI just doesn't seem to want to do the plebeian reforms and get the more well-rounded or more attacking, aggressive sword and shield ones, which do a lot more damage and can obviously cut through hoplites a lot more effectively. So we're kind of stuck with these guys, but it's fine. I've mainly got the kind of hybrid sword infantry unit anyway. So it's going to basically be my army. I also have some cavalry, which I'm hiding in the woods here. Just 4 units. It's kind of nice to have 4 units of horse, honestly. Not the best, but they're okay. Then if we take a look at Darren's army as he is pursuing me, he has 2 full stacks here, so it's a stack of mine and a town garrison against 2 stacks of Darren's. However, they are slightly depleted. Darren's forces are going to kind of be made up from just normal hoplites. He also has a handful of Sacred Band and also a bunch of these Spear Archers, which are a really cool unit in Divide et Impera, because these guys offer you the ability to warn off cavalry. They can fight very decently against horses, and they're kind of deceptive, because when you're commanding a battle like this, you see the archer side and you're like, oh my god, I'm going to charge and kill these guys. However, they are spears, and they can do very good damage in that combat. Behind that, we are going to have just more hoplites, and I think the Sacred Band is somewhere along here. I think he has like 6 units of Sacred Band in both of these armies, like in total. He also has some Belerios Slingers, an elephant unit, obviously his general. He has a lot of cavalry. I think he has like 8 units of cavalry in this battle. Then over on this side, he has a lot of his kind of Libyan mercenaries that he's brought to bear. One of the amazing things about Carthage in the campaign is that they get access to 1 million mercenaries, and they're cheaper. They're faction mercenaries, so I don't get access, for example, to the mercenaries Darren does, and he can just constantly recruit them. They do run out, but he can get them very, very quickly, and they're just amazing. Like, he can just pump out these mercenaries, much like it should be with Carthage. He obviously still has to pay to recruit them and pay the population and stuff, and they're not going to be as good as his like actual barracks troops, but he can still get them, and yeah, it's a very, very nice setup. So again, he's going to have a lot of these kind of bigger Libyan infantry. I think this, again, it's more hoplites. I swear he had a bunch of Sacred Band, but I don't know where they are. There you go, Sacred Band. There's a couple units here, and the Sacred Band just look absolutely amazing. One of my favorite units in the entire game, especially the late Sacred Band. They look amazing. So that's going to be the battle lineup. So there's probably a handful of units I did miss, but let's just continue on. So my setup, basically, in this battle is I luckily managed to get my army into the city, or it's just entering the city as Darren is now approaching with his secondary army. I want to try and hold this courtway because even though Darren can utilize his hoplite wall pretty effectively, I want to try my best to stretch his line out as much as possible. I have a lot of javelins and I have a handful of missiles, so realistically, I want to try and just hold him in this kind of big meat locker and try and, you know, find gaps in the hoplite walls, because, you know, the hoplites are pretty good, but as they start to drop, you do quite easily end up finding that, you know, gaps do appear, and I can use my swords to try and get in the midst of the holes that are created just from heavy fighting. And hopefully that will aid me pretty nicely. That was an awesome kind of shield down right there. Again, I'm just trying to waste time because that 40-minute timer is really going to come into play in this battle. Whenever you're fighting a city battle and you only have 40 minutes to take the city, you honestly really can kind of just try and bide yourself. Like every 10, 15, seconds really comes in, and it might make all the difference at the end of the battle. So I'm just basically sacrificing these Italian citizens right now just to try and slow him up, trying to keep him a bit further back. And it's also giving me some nice time to rest these units, reinforcements who ran all the way over to try and get into the city as quickly as possible. I'm also trying to set up some other defenses. I kind of, obviously assume he's going to come flying around here, and he's going to come down this path as well, and probably come all the way around here as well, and attack me from 3 different ways. I'm pretty lucky that he didn't come from this rear entrance with his main force. He might come a bit later on, but I'm pretty lucky he didn't decide to throw anything down to this southern part besides his cavalry, because when I am defending this area, it does leave me pretty vulnerable for him to come through this gap and obviously hit my defense. If he could break through this area, obviously these spearmen will be very, very vulnerable. I also could just decide to fall back and defend this and just leave myself open to these areas, which again might not be a bad idea. Like, that could be something, again, just to bide me some time to defend the city. But I want to try and utilize this as good as possible. Darren is going to come in, and he does actually decide to go and charge me, which is actually pretty good for me. I'm going to take back. He's going to form phalanx. I think, yeah, he forms phalanx after he's charged me. But as you can see, that's kind of messed up the formation, and this can be kind of finicky. So he obviously really wanted just to get a little bit closer to me, then form that phalanx. But I'll take it, the fact that he did turn on. Again, these are only Italian town guard. These are my worst units, so they're just going to end up dying, but, it's still good to have a few of them in here. They're also taking a lot of that missile fire as well. But he'll quickly realise that and be able to push forward. But there's a lot of missile fire coming in. Again, I don't mind too much because it is on the Italian guard. They're kind of there to be shot at, to take some extra arrows. But yeah, it's pretty dangerous, it's pretty deadly. Luckily, I have started to move up my Italian swords, and I'm going to start to filter in a lot of my infantry. You can see them moving right now. I want to get these guys into the town centre so I can quickly reinforce whenever stuff looks a bit, worse for wear. As something in Divided Impera, because a lot of units are very slow, you can see all my javelins going out as well, just trying to rip up these other infantry that are back here. See a lot of Peeler going in, not taking down too many casualties, but hopefully reducing their HP as he does form up that phalanx. I want to make sure that my units are ready to reinforce when things look like they're not going too well, because too often in Divided Impera, one breach can be the end of the battle. As crazy as it sounds, if you end up, having a position overrun, and you're 10 seconds too late to reinforce it, that can spell all the difference, because then you can get soldiers enveloping everywhere else, and it can look really, really bad for you. So what I've decided to do is, just move up some infantry now, try and get my Italian garrison swords in, using the weaker units first. and then make sure that I have infantry that can quickly reinforce and get stuck in when they start to falter, because they will falter. I've got a really nice envelopment right here. Well, not envelopment, but flank, I guess. There was a really good path up here that Darren didn't kind of stretch his infantry out to, which has allowed me to get these Italian swords into the side of these hoplites. And again, they won't do like crazy damage, but they'll whittle him down. They'll slowly take down his men. I think Darren's, focusing down this unit that has come through the flank by the sounds of that missile fire. And he's going to be, just hitting us a lot of areas. I think maybe he's even used a focus fire ability. In Divided Impera, you can focus fire with units. And it seems like their shots are very much focused on this area. So again, really nice play by him by doing that. That's going to be a big help for his position. So I've gone ahead and brought up my own missiles as well, getting my slingers. As I say, Balearic slingers. I wish I had Balearic slingers. I'm going to get some of these Italian slingers and just start hammering away. I've managed to take down almost one missile unit, which is really nice. And that's generally what slingers are there for. They're used to kind of outrange the enemy missiles and just try and take them down so they have a lot less firepower. I think by the looks of it, though, Darren is going to quickly realise that my slingers are doing work and immediately focus down these slingers, which I kind of leave out in the open, unfortunately. And you can see a lot of missile fire going in on me. I just said that I should really be outranging him, and that's something I'm definitely not doing. He's also set up a pretty nice defensive force here with his secondary army. He's got his swords in the front line, throwing his javelins off that these guys do have access to. That's a lot of missiles going in there on my Italian mercenaries. And they're going to be racking up a lot of damage on these guys. I'm going to get my charge off. Unfortunately, they don't have a javelin throw. They're going to get stuck in nonetheless and really start to whittle away. Because I know that, like, these guys aren't that good. This is his main army, and this is where his main kind of heavy-hitting infantry will be. The hoplites are so hard to deal with. I can deal with them, but they're going to slowly grind away because, we are fighting basically a forward frontal base. It's very hard for me to outflank him when he outnumbers me in a siege battle. I'm always going to end up really fighting these guys from the front, and it's never going to go well for me. However, on this side, he's got a lot more infantry, which I think I can cut through. I do have a lot of decent swords, and these guys aren't Carthaginian swords. These are kind of more of the mercenary ones, I believe. And they are, 300-man units as well, which generally do speak of lesser quality in Divided Impera. So by doing this, I really want to try and push out and just start racking up some kills. And I know if I sit back, I'm just going to get shot to pieces. So luckily, I'm absorbing some ammunition here. I've sent over a unit of these town guards just to obviously protect this flank in case he tries to push any cavalry around. And I've still got a handful of reserves. I've got a lot of men sitting in the back. But as you can see, I am slowing him up pretty nicely with the timer. Again, we'll act as if this is a 40-minute timer. I won't tell you guys if it is a 40-minute timer, because if you see it's 40 minutes, you'll know that I won the battle by holding out. So I won't tell you guys if it is or isn't. But we'll just kind of be under the impression that this is 40 minutes on the clock and we're down to 23. And as you can see, and I'll tell you guys obviously towards the end of the battle when it's a little bit less important. I want to keep that tension going so you guys don't know what happened. But I've already managed to waste, for example, 17 minutes almost of this battle, which is quite a lot, almost half the battle, and I still have a very large amount of my forces left. I have a lot of my elite soldiers still left remaining. I've managed to get a really good outflank on Darren's infantry, and these hoplites are taking a lot of damage. You can see this one unit of hoplites is down to 100 and something men, and their morale is dropping. This unit is getting stuck in, and again getting hit really hard. As I believe now I've advanced forward, I've started to push forward some of my stronger Roman sword infantry. And they're getting stuck in now to obviously replace my skirmishers. I've tried to kind of outflank him a little bit here. But he's going to hold me in place there. I get some men round the side, but his hoplite wall is, going to be impenetrable there. I try to reform them to get them a bit longer because they were very thin, obviously trying to get through this gap. Didn't work too well for me though, unfortunately. But I managed to get some men round the side as his hoplite coverage didn't cover that entire position. He also does decide to fall back. Seeing that he is losing men, he decides to pull back his position right here, which leaves him pretty vulnerable, right? I can completely envelop this area, and I quickly, this is what was really helpful in this battle. I quickly decide to push forward and try and create a bridgehead in this part of the settlement. I try and get infantry to kind of surround this so that now that these guys are out here, obviously I'm in a pretty bad situation because I'm surrounded now as well. Darren's done a great job of creating this bubble. but he's also left this unit really segregated, and that's huge, right? Killing a unit of hoplites like this is amazing. They still had 100 men left, and this way I managed to catch them. I'll kill a lot of them as they try and retreat, and that's what this battle is all about. It's not about winning, it's about killing his good units, so he finds it very hard to replenish them. Italy is like, you know, a good like 5-6 turns of movement for an army to reinforce it. So the majority of the units that he will be using, you know, as the campaign goes on longer and longer, will end up being, you know, Italian garrison troops, Italian area of recruitment units, for the most part, which aren't as good as his Carthaginians. So that's what this is all about. We're playing the long game right now. As you can see, Darren has just overrun me in this position with just weight of numbers, with his Balearic slingers as well. You know, his missiles and his other stuff is just really doing a lot of damage. And, you know, I have managed to kill a lot of soldiers here, but he's obviously just weight of numbers, superior men, and missile fire is really worn me down. So I've decided to bring up another unit of my spearmen over here, and I think I have a unit of Principes as well, which are, or Triarii, sorry, which are getting closer and closer. I also have some of my own slingers as well, and I'm just firing into this big blob to try and help out as best as I can. And as you can see, Darren is overrunning me with his numbers here. Just too many for me to really handle. Luckily, though, he does have a lot of cavalry, right? So he has, you know, 6, 7, maybe 9 units of cavalry in this battle. Obviously, 2 armies. And that's a lot of units, you know. That's like almost a quarter of his army is cavalry, which means that's not going to be that effective. And in, like, siege battles like this, having a lot of cavalry, you know, kind of actually comes back to hurt him a little bit, because he can't utilize, you know, heavier infantry to punch through that gap. Now, don't get me wrong, cavalry can be really useful, as we see the Sacred Band being advanced up. Well, that's scary, seeing some Sacred Band being pushed into the battle. Like, don't get me wrong, cavalry can be useful in sieges to exploit gaps towards the end of it. But generally, you know, you can find yourself running out of infantry if you bring a ton of cavalry. Look, the cavalry is really good for land battles, but for sieges and forts and stuff like that, it can become very deadly indeed. As we are now seeing the Sacred Band being pushed up, and there's just nothing I can really do about this. You know, no matter what happens, he has, like, you know, enough hoplites. I think he has like 10, maybe a quarter of his army are hoplites. Maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more. But no matter what I do, I'm going to have to fight these guys from the front, right? Because, you know, I was thinking about it in the battle. I could try and set up like a long gap here, but again, he has enough hoplites to cover this entire area no matter what I do. So I felt like maybe stretching his hoplite line as long as possible in this area is good, because maybe I can break through on one side. That was kind of the goal and what I was trying to achieve with that over there. And I am committing more men. I think I've got some Triarii in here as well. The Triarii are one of the strongest units I have at my disposal. If we take a look at their stats really quickly, you can see that they have 26 melee defense, they have 46 morale, they have a huge bonus against elephants and cavalry, which Darren does have a lot of, so they're very useful there. They have a really, really nice armor pen as well, which is good against hoplites. And, you know, not bad other stats either, you know, very good armor. You know, it's a very tanky unit that can just, you know, in a phalanx formation, which increases their defense, makes them, you know, extremely, extremely potent. And in a battle where we're trying to waste as much time as possible, they are very, very useful. As you can see, I'm deciding to actually retreat back some infantry now, realizing that they're not really going to be that useful, and I want to just kind of sit them back. I don't want Darren to chain route me with his elephants, as he does throw his elephants in. I immediately advance forward my, you can see these guys right here, rushing to get to the battle. My peltists are just hurrying over as quickly as possible, because that's what I was saving peltists for, is obviously to kill these elephants. But Darren's obviously not an idiot. He's going to retreat back these elephants. I think he lost maybe 1 or 2. But he did manage to rout a unit, I think, so overall that was probably worth it for him. He's using these guys as like a shock infantry that just comes in as the units are close to breaking. Like, you know, when he starts to see yellow and red, that's when the elephants get deployed, and just try and push them over the edge to try and finish them off. And he does bring them out, obviously, as I bring up my peltist, and you can see it was effective. He managed to rout 2 units of Italian Guard and a unit of Italian Swords, so definitely worth it in the long run. We then now have this position that has been overrun. However, the Triarii have set up, and they do not like to go down easily. So this unit is going to be very, very deadly indeed. And all of a sudden, I do start to spring my trap. I want to decide to bring around my cavalry, and I'm hoping that I can get this cavalry around, because they were just hidden. I think they just came into view. But a lot of the time, if you're zoomed in, like if Darren's watching a battle like this, you know, he's not going to see his minimap, and he's not going to see these units coming around, right? His cavalry is the other side, so it's very hard for him to see this. And if I can get in, you know, he's actually moving infantry down this way. So at this point, I'm thinking, yeah, this is actually pretty good. Like, maybe he sent these orders round, and I can actually get stuck in on his back line, and maybe I can, like, route a bunch of units, which would be really huge. So I'm feeling pretty good about this cavalry charge right now. Killing these Valerio slingers, I'm not sure if they're out of ammunition or not. Doesn't seem like they are. However, Darren does. I think he just noticed it. And look at that. Like, if he would have spent a couple, 10 seconds looking at this, I would have been into these Valerio slingers and I would have killed them. That would have been absolutely huge. Unfortunately, though, my cavalry isn't going to be very effective now, and he's going to quickly, obviously, bring up his spears, bring back all of his sword infantry, and prevent me from really getting stuck in. Bring a unit of his Sacred Band back here as well, which is pretty deadly. However, I'm making pretty good progress. Like, I'm grinding him down on this front line. The time is ticking. Only 15 minutes left in this battle. And that has a pretty big knock-on effect psychologically in this engagement, because quite quickly Darren realizes, as my peeler gets in on these elephants, which is really nice, Darren quite quickly realizes I have to make a move on. The hoplites are very good defensively, aggressively, not so much. And that can cause Darren to make some mistakes, do some stupid stuff to try and win this battle. Unfortunately, though, my javelins didn't actually get a single kill off onto his elephants, which I was really sad of. Probably because they were really far out of range. Just a shame. Darren's also using his skirmish cavalry really effectively. I love the way Darren uses skirmish cavalry. I just can't really find a great way for it in my battles, as most of my battles end up being land battles. But yeah, like really utilizing the skirmish cavalry. I think I have a lot in my armies. I think I have Tarentine like scattered throughout my forces. But yeah, I really like the way he's been using this skirmish cavalry. Obviously, just using it to try and like breach down points with their javelins. And they are, these are probably obviously a lot more effective in siege battles because they do have that javelin throw. There's not really much I can do about that. So Darren faulted my cavalry right now. And again, I'm going to make that mistake, right? Darren has purposely put these guys over here. Their spears, they're pretty effective at fighting cavalry. And I'm like, I'm licking my lips right now. I'm like, hell yeah. I'm going to charge myself free of these missiles. Here's a unit of spears, but they shouldn't be able to stop me from this charge. I'm going to get stuck in here. I kind of decide not to. I'm kind of like, should I do this? Should I not do this? I charge in one unit. But yeah, as you can see, the charge will be effective. But after that initial charge, I kill like 20 of them. Now these spears are going to be doing a lot of damage to my cavalry, and it's just not worth it. He's funneling in. He's got some cavalry here. He's got a unit of hoplites protected up, and yeah, I'm going to get overrun here. If I don't break them immediately, it's going to be quite hard for me to continue to push through. And looking at this in hindsight, what I should have really have done is I should have thrown in more cavalry. I should have committed to this, even with the elephants. Elephants do really good against cavalry as well. I should have just committed to this, right? I should have just been like, hell yeah, we'll go all or nothing on this initial charge. Just try and instantly break them. Because I think if I would have charged another unit into this one right here, I would have chain routed all the archers. And that would have been really, really effective. But unfortunately, I was a little bit slow there. Sometimes in the heat of the moment, you do make these mistakes. And you maybe didn't anticipate stuff to go like they do. So yeah, it's just unfortunate. And this is kind of, a big mistake I kind of make in this battle. Is I really just overcommit to this. I should have just cut my losses. I still have 3 units of cavalry back here. I can play, Ring Around Morosi with Darren's cavalry, and I can basically just avoid them. I can even just dismount them as well and get them stuck in. I do commit another unit of cavalry to this fight to try and break more of the missiles, but at this point, it's just too late. The elephants are in. He's got some of his hoplites here as well. Some of his, I think, Libyan reformed hoplites. I'm just kind of really wasting it. I do, however, make a massive break on this side. But again, I kind of feel like I overcommit in this part of the battle, I should just continue to reform my battle line. I really look to push forward, and this kind of forces me to make a couple more errors because, obviously Darren has lots of infantry in reserve. He's done a great job of keeping men back, and he's done a great job of ensuring that he can push forward. And that's one of the problems that I obviously receive in this battle, is because I'm defending 2 pretty far away choke points. It's very hard for me to reinforce this, and he's worn me down very effectively. So that, you know, by doing this, if I lose this battle out here with my cavalry, which I'm going to, right? I'm fighting hoplites, I'm fighting elephants, and that unit does just break. He's got his cavalry coming around. I'm basically all or nothing my cavalry into this fight. And even though it is against Valeria Slingers, he's also now got hoplites in this battle. And it just basically makes me extremely vulnerable. I'm basically sacrificing my cavalry here. This general is not a good general as well. Don't worry about that. This is the garrison general, who's not very good. My main general is right here. Yeah, and I'm basically sacrificing my cavalry against the spears in the hopes that I could come around and try and like outflank this. But Darren was just too quick. His cavalry's come around now, and it leaves me very vulnerable. I have to retreat from this now because Darren has a lot of cavalry. If he gets it around the back of me, rear charges this, he comes into my backs right now. And it's just it's pretty much over. I'm running out of men at this point. I'm rushing over some more swords. You know, it's not looking great for me over on that right-hand side with my amount of men. My soldiers are tired. You can see they're exhausted. They're wavering. And no matter what I do, it's pretty bad. So yeah, I just retreat from this position, try and get some of my swordsmen back. But again, they're just kind of out of position. This was really bad for me. I should just held the line. I should just continue to wind down this clock. Because again, you know, every minute really does matter. And you know, now Darren, you know, obviously I have to reform, but Darren can now come flying into the side of me and just kill this cavalry very, very effectively. And you can see I'm just trying to reform my battle line now. I don't really have a ton. I'm being curved in now. And that was, yeah, just a really bad over-exertion from me. I should have just held back. I do get some nice kills off on his Numidian cavalry. I'm scaring them off with a unit of my horse that came back through that gap. So yeah, I'm being pushed back right now. And it's just not good. It basically made me give up this position. This really effective position. It basically made me lose it, which will mean that these guys are really suitable to being enveloped. And now I just bring over my last two units of spearmen. Again, not my best two spears. I do have a unit of principes, which is nice with that peeler throw. But again, you know, I'm definitely running out of men at this point. And the question is, can I hold out the timer? There's no way I'm going to kill his soldiers. And it's really whether or not I can hold this timer out and win through that. You can see though, the Triarii are doing an amazing job. Darren is just finding it impossible to cut through these with his swords that he has here from the front. These guys are basically impenetrable. 25 melee defense is insane. 48 armor, you know, against 9 melee attack and 26 weapon damage. It's just not going to do, you know. My Triarii don't have great weapon damage, but they're in such a good defensive position. But Darren is just throwing bodies away. How many kills are these guys up to now? We're up to almost 200 kills, and they've lost like 30 men. 35 men, and they're on 200 kills. It's just such a good Roman unit. It's so effective, and it's a real shame that Rome hasn't done their plebeian reforms yet, because having swords instead of these Principe units would be so big, because you still get access to the Triarii. And you can see Darren is just committing everything now. He sees the timer is running out. He needs to get his men stuck into this battle. And he is obviously overcommitting his elephants. He's got a unit of mine completely surrounded here. You can see these swords fighting for survival and just getting worn down. You know, that timer is ticking, and I'm committing everything I can, just trying to hold this point. As Darren, you know, has a lot of slow-killing infantry. I've killed a lot of his more aggressive infantry, and even his Sacred Band are pretty goddamn tired. So the timer is ticking, and at this point, I'm thinking victory is a possibility. If I can keep him from taking Beneventium, that is a huge setback. I imagine he's only replenishing pretty slowly in Rome, and not like massively because of the population. But you know, he would have taken the city, and he would have killed and enslaved a lot of the population. So I can't imagine that his, you know, Carthaginian Punic units are going to be replenishing very quickly in Rome. So, you know, for me, this is a pretty good, you know, result for me just at this point, no matter what. As I've managed to heavily wound his army, and I'm hoping that Rome can just outproduce him in Italy and kill him. You know, I'm sure there's going to be plenty more battles of us fighting in Italy. However, you know, at this point, I'm thinking, hey, maybe I can hold the allotted time. My morale is pretty good. I've got a unit of Principes here who are fresh, just entering the battle. They have, you know, 63 morale, which is really good. I've got a unit of my swordsmen out here who are a bit overcommitted, but they're doing a pretty good job. They've got a decent amount of kills so far, almost 100. They've got a heavy melee attack, decent melee defense stats. And I've got a unit of spearmen here as well, who are just, you know, waiting for anyone to come onto them. I've managed to kill a decent amount of the elephants. They're down to pretty low, even though they are still wreaking havoc. Are these the elephants here? Yeah, the elephants are up to 160 kills. They're pretty deadly. Yeah, but like all of a sudden I'm like, hell yeah, this is actually pretty good. My Principes here are holding, and obviously Darren could send infantry around this way to get me, but there's not really a lot of time left. You can see the timer slowly down there ticking away, and you know, if he does commit something around there, that is pretty deadly. However, and he doesn't know if I've got anything hidden here. I think he scouted this out earlier on in the battle when his cavalry came around, so he might still think I have spearmen here. With line of sight and the way line of sight works, he wouldn't be able to see like anything here whatsoever. So if all he knows, I've still got spearmen guarding this area, which is why the line of sight in Divided Impera is really cool. And if you take a look at things like Darren's morale isn't very good on any of his units now. They're exhausted. The majority of his high quality units have been fighting the entire battle, whereas I've deployed a bunch of fresh ones. My general is going in, the brave Legatus, Custodes Corporis Legati, I don't think that's his name, I think that's the name of the unit, is going in, trying to kill these elephants, because these elephants will cause my morale to drop. You can see my morale is not looking good because of these elephants. And I'm having to be very aggressive, which is breaking up my formation, and I have no missiles to really kill them either. However, the Principes are holding very nicely, and I kind of wish I held the Principes in this line here, rather than form like this box to try and do that. I should have honestly just used the Principes in a flat line like here, and just kind of, you know, funneled in as many men as I could into this area right here. Because as the battle continues on, as units go back and forth, you know, units do get out of position. It does leave me kind of vulnerable from this flank. Luckily, I have a unit of swords here helping out. But I mean, you know, Darren is running out of men. His soldiers are getting tired. He's losing a lot of men. I've actually had to force back my unit of Principes here as well, as I don't want to overcommit here. I think I started to see his cavalry move or something along this line, and I'm like, okay, we need to fall back here in case he tries anything. Also, somehow, I've got a unit of swords still left alive here. Don't know how, but they're going to engage this unit of Principes. I think maybe what I should have done with this unit as well is just put it through, like just drag it through this unit and just try and get into the backs of these guys. Unfortunately, one of my swords is breaking, but so is Darren's. His unit's starting to go down. Like, he's, you know, could mass rout in this engagement. My cavalry is just hammer and ambling. They don't really have a great charge because I'm charging into my own units. I'm just trying to get anything into the side and just try and break some Sacred Band. I imagine that, yeah, the Sacred Band's morale is 70, but maybe I can just kind of cause some issues with the other weaker units around the battlefield, because I imagine these guys, morale is, oh my god, his morale on these guys is 60 as well. That's actually really good. I guess we are entering, you know, we are, what, on turn like 75 now in the campaign? So, you know, units do start to get pretty decent with morale. We're kind of out of that early game. We're definitely in the mid game right now. Which makes things really interesting. Like, guys, especially if you're coming into this campaign a lot later and you haven't seen any of the previous ones, you can watch them on the channel. But I also recommend you don't need to watch the previous episode. Just come in and be like, hey, Jackie, first time, what's gone in the campaign so far? And things are only going to get more and more exciting when me and Darren start to fight each other. As right now, obviously, the Seleucids and Carthage aren't at war, the two factions we are playing. So as the campaign proceeds and me and Darren actually come to fighting, there's going to be these two huge empires going toe-to-toe with one another, and we're going to both be trying to outsmart each other. Because right now, we're just playing against the AI on the campaign map and then each other in battles. When it comes to PvP, oh my god, it's going to be wild. When we're actually like Seleucids versus Carthage, it's going to be insane. It's going to be so crazy. As we're going to be fighting in Africa, we're going to be fighting probably in Greece, we're going to be fighting in the Mediterranean. There's, you know, I've got Sicily, oh sorry, Darren's got Sicily, I've got Crete and Rhodes. It's going to be wild. But until we get to that point, you know, we obviously have to continue to fight and expand our empires, which has just been so goddamn exciting. So I was a little bit scared of Darren pulling through here, and as you can see, the timer is dropping down. 3 minutes left on the clock, and yeah, you know, all I have to do is just continue to hold this battle line, keep my men, and I've got a unit of Triarii here. I'm a little bit scared of him enveloping me, but honestly, again, looking back on this, I should just try to let him envelop me if he wants to. It'd slow him up, and also the fact that these Triarii are very, very strong at just even if they're enveloped, and I could use a cavalry to rear charge. I should have brought these missiles over here because this is my biggest issue, right? Darren is throwing everything he's got against me. The Principes are doing an amazing job but it's this unit right here that is most likely to end up breaking. Also, somehow this unit is just holding. Like, this is the thing. As the seconds tick down in this battle and the 40-minute timer really comes into play, these units who are just holding on, like, no morale are just doing amazing. They only have 54 base. And this unit is just dropping down, man after man. It's inverted. The formation is breached. But they're holding, and that's keeping so many of his units at bay that he could be using just to smash through this area of the battlefield. They could be sending cavalry all the way around. So right now it's absolutely insane, and again, I don't know why I was so aggressive here. Like, I should have just sat back. Darren had to attack me. I think I was scared of something breaking here, and then, you know, I wanted to try and maybe kill this, and then move this unit back to defend this, which maybe is something I should have done, just give up the city center and try and defend this again. I'm throwing everything I have in right now. Unfortunately, this unit of Apulii Extraordinarii are going to break. But I'm also breaking Darren's men, and he's having a hard time coming forward at me and breaking through. The time is ticking down. Can I do it? Can I hold the battle line? I mean, it's looking pretty goddamn crazy. You know, this 40-minute timer is almost at bay. And I mean, either way, if I do manage to win this battle, you know, obviously, it's amazing. I hold Beneventium, the Romans can then recruit more men, reinforce the city. Darren gets sent back to Rome. And it's, you know, more of his men are breaking. And I just need to keep on holding as best as I can. But even if I lose this battle, I've still done lots of damage to his battle line, so it's all not the end of the world, honestly. However, Darren's going to come in for one last epic charge right there. And that's going to be crucial. That's going to be it. Army attrition comes in, and Darren is going to take this one. I think I was 2 minutes short. So if I would have done anything else to slow him up, that would literally made all the difference. And Darren is going to win the battle. And again, you can see them end kind of plays were actually really bad for me. If I would have kept these two units of skirmishers alive, I don't think the army attrition loss would have come into play, and my army probably would have stuck around for the next 2 minutes. And I possibly could have still won this battle and prevented Darren from taking this. Taking Beneventium from them, which is pretty brutal. Luckily, I killed over half his army, which you don't tend to see too often in Divided Impera. Generally, the winner only loses about 20% of his force. So I was very happy. And again, a lot of my casualties in this losses, I lost 4,500 men. A lot of that, you know, a good, like, you know, 2,000 would have been all of these guys who were pretty trash, going up against, you know, 2 stacks of Darren. So I was very happy with his outcome. I killed half of his army. He took Beneventium. However, in the next couple turns, Rome do take it back, which was obviously really good for me. I think Darren did loot it. I think he said he looted it, maybe. I can't remember. Maybe he occupied it. Maybe he looted it. But I was very happy with this battle. Obviously, we could have won, and I definitely made some mistakes in that battle, which, you know, probably cost me the battle. It was small things, but definitely stuff I could have done to either wait out the timer or avoid that army attrition coming in right towards the end of the battle. Because, you know, Principes, I had Principe and a Terraria unit that probably could have helped with the 2 to 4 minutes, even if they were completely enveloped, if I'm honest. So, you know, it's pretty crazy. The stuff like that does come down to it. But, you know, it was a very, very, very fun battle. I did my damage to him, so that's going to be really painful in the campaign. He's going to definitely struggle to rebuild these armies, and he's probably just have to replace, you know, I think I killed a couple units of his hoplites. He's going to have to replace these guys with a bunch more you know, weaker, inferior units, which again will make my next couple battles against him a little bit more effective. So yeah, that was an epic battle. I've still got one more from this live stream, which was really, really good. Again, Darren fighting Rome, so I'll be sure to go ahead and do that in the next couple of days. And if you guys are enjoying these head-to-head online battles, then do let me know in the comments down below. Obviously, make sure to tune in to the next one next Wednesday at 3 PM as Darren continues to try and conquer Italy, and we've got a lot of warring to do on my side of things over on the Seleucid Empire. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this battle replay. If you did, drop a like and a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.